What's up, guys? It's your boy Hotshot. Sunday morning, 8:18. Getting that money. Alright, guys, so let's talk about being cheap. And man, let me tell you something. This is probably the 5th time I've tried to make this video. You're lucky I like it. But anyway, let's talk about being cheap in the business, cheap rates, just all around cheap. So, I see a lot of people that getting into this business, they want cheap insurance, the cheapest truck, the cheapest everything, but yet the most expensive rates. I don't quite know how that works. It's like any other business, you get a return on investment. Well, if you don't invest, you don't get a return. And the problem with being cheap is, for one, your quality of work shows. For two, it shows in your equipment. 3, like, cheap insurance isn't covered by every broker. Just like you have bad brokers, you have bad insurance. And the reason that happens is, or not the reason, but how it happens is, let's say it's a newer insurance company just trying to get into the game of insurance, right? And they want to start with trucking. Well, not start with, but get into it. Well, a trucking accident could be big money, right? So that if somebody is in an incident and, let's say, I don't know, God forbid they have an accident or something, right? Not all insurance companies can afford to put out $300,000. Like, you can go online and look at their financial stability. You can go online and look at their customer service. I would recommend looking at that stuff. That stuff is beyond super important. Beyond super important, you know? Like, that stuff you need. That stuff you need to know. If, like, not all big companies take every insurance. So if I only work with 2 brokers right now. I'm not on Central. Y'all know what I'm doing. But, so if I had that cheap insurance that those don't take, I'm SOL, guys. I can't work. Well, I can't be in the situation I'm in, you know? So, any good business takes investment. It takes capital. Now if you come in here and you want to do everything cheap, it's going to show. You know, if you start out in the hole, it's going to take you a long time to get out of the hole, guys. And I'm talking from example. I don't know how, well, the only reason I made it this long with the way I started is because my wife understands, and I sacrificed a lot. I bet you in the first 9 months, or 10 months now, I probably haven't had 3 weeks off total of day. I'm not talking special days off. I'm talking days off, like 2 days a week or weekends, you know. I've been off for some resets, but other than that, I was running recaps. You know, just within the last month, I was finally able to take some weekends off. Right now I'm back to running pretty hard and heavy. just for a couple weeks. But it's you guys, if you're not able to give up everything to keep this going, you need to have some money when you come in. Lots of money when you come in. And it's not for everybody. Just buying a truck and trailer isn't it. So now we've talked about the cheap insurance aspect of it, right? So now let's talk about cheap maintenance. So this is just a small part, it's going to sound petty, but it's not. But grease, you heard it, grease. Grease is one of the most important things you can do to your equipment. You gotta have the right grease. It's gotta be greased up. I mean, this trailer's running 100,000 miles a year, ish. You know, it's gotta be greased up, guys. Now, you want to go into Pep Boys or Sears, Advance, wherever you go. If you look in the grease aisle, holy cow, guys. Y'all ain't never had to make a crazy decision. There's one. There is dozens and dozens of different grease. Some's good, some ain't worth a darn. So, and there's certain grease for certain applications. Grease has a, what I call a, it's like a melting point is what I call it. You know, it goes, you go down the water at a certain, I guess you better get over it. You go down the water at a certain temperature. Some grease is 200, some's 250, some's 450, some's 500. So, the best thing to have, obviously, is the higher temp. You know, because we're running them hard and long, and you know, you put 14,000 pounds on the trailer. You know, on them 3 axles, that's some work for that trailer. Now, if you're going to put lithium grease on the bearings, that's not going to work. It's not the right grease. So, again, that comes to being cheap, because you don't want to pay a mechanic to do your PM. You don't want to pay somebody to do what you feel you can do just as good or fast. Man, I love seeing boats come in. That means money for Hotshot. Give me them boats, boy. But anyway, so, yeah, people get cheap on maintenance and it costs them. So, now let's say you save 200 bucks on them bearings and that grease and, you know, the brakes, everything back there. Alright? And you put your bearings on wrong because you don't know that you have to tighten them all the way and then come back a quarter turn and lock your washer. You don't know that because you've never done them. Common sense would tell you, well, not common sense, but the average thought process would tell you, tighten them up and that's it. Well, that's not the case. You know, and you've saved 2 to 250 and they go out one at a time, and now you've either got to learn how to do it or you got to take it to the shop, and you're going to lose that 2 to 250, whether it's downtime, whether it's maintenance, whether it's a tow. I mean, you're going to lose it, you know, because you want it to be cheap. And now, if you have to be cheap because you can't afford to maintain your equipment, you need to look at what you're doing. You need to look at the situation. Because there's no reason with the money that's out here that we shouldn't be able to maintain our equipment good. You can't maintain your equipment good, then obviously you're not charging enough, or you're not running the right lane, or you're doing something wrong. You know, because there's money. Trucking is a billion-dollar industry. Billion-dollar industry. So, probably multi-billion, obviously. You know, so guys, you got it. You can't be cheap all the way around. And now I'm going to bring up the biggest cuss word in the industry: cheap freight. Oh, their freight's cheap. It's cheap. They don't want to pay me. Well, if you don't want to pay nobody, why would they pay somebody? You know, if your services and equipment doesn't warrant a higher payment, you know, why would they? You know, the natural reaction of a broker is to get it, like everybody else, as cheap as possible. You know, and if they don't know you from Adam and Eve, then they don't know why you deserve the big money. Now, do I charge more now with this equipment compared to my older equipment? Yes. You know why? Because I'm more reliable now. I'm there now. You know, this truck starts and rolls. My other one, I had to be one of the lower guys, you know, just in case something happened. You know, I had to make sure they didn't feel overcharged more than cheap freight. You know, because I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get it down, get it there. Everything in my power. They're not gonna get no BS stories. You know, I don't ask them a million questions. They give me the load, and that's it. You know, and the brokers now know me, and they know when I call, I'll get the work done, but it's not the cheapest on the block. And it's not because I'm better than that, it's because my services are better than that. Because I've worked my butt off in these 10 months to get where I'm at, to prove that I'm better than the average or mediocre transporter. I'm not going to leave your cars on the middle of the highway because my trailer broke down. You know, I'm not going to pick your car up and not deliver on time. You know, I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize my business. Got the popo out early today, and you've been attention. You know, so the people I work with know I demand a higher payment, but it's worth it to them. You know, and they can call me. Even if they have something dispatched to me, they can call me and I have no problem switching things up real quick. There's been times I've been dead or middle of dead run, turn right around in the middle of the run. If I'm not loaded and they're offering more money because they got a hot load or a priority load, you turn around and do it for them. Who cares if it's inconvenience for you? You earn their respect. You know, you're not worried about saving all the fuel and being cheap and not making that run for them. You know, because you think you can't make enough money. Sometimes you got to take one for the team. And you and your broker's a team. You and your customers are teams. You work together to get it done. So, guys, if you're not investing in your company, you don't have the right to ask for a higher payment. You have a right to ask to be paid. You don't have the right to be one of the top transporters price-wise. You gotta earn that stuff. I mean, there's guys that's more expensive than me. Don't get it twisted. I'm not the most expensive. But I'm not the cheapest. But, you know, so you got to invest in a company, guys. It takes money to make money. You got to remember that. So, you put 10 in, you make 10. You put 20 in, you make 20. Now, you can't put in 10,000 one time and just think you're gonna make $100,000 off that 10 and not reinvest. I hear guys say, I can't run that, I can't afford the fuel. Well, you're doing something wrong, and you shouldn't be, you know what I mean, you shouldn't be in the, shouldn't have your own authority, probably. You should probably be working for somebody that knows a little bit, and they're willing to help you get started and eventually let you branch off. There's no reason that you can't just go anywhere in the country without prepayment. Now don't get me wrong, I don't take no more than 3 to 5 day pay. I'm not doing 30 or 90 day pay, you know. And most of the time there's a fee for that, but either way, whether it's a factoring company or it's you know, you're just paying them, you got to pay to get it early like that. So now let's talk about cheap equipment. Talk about buying the cheapest truck you can find. Not doing research, just buying a cheap truck. You're gonna regret that. It's gonna get you. You know, you can get a deal, don't get it wrong. You can definitely get a deal. Alright guys, let me fuel up, I'll be right back. Alright guys, so cheap trucks, cheap equipment. So you can get a good deal on a truck, don't get it twisted, but the only way I would buy another older truck, and when I'm talking older, I'm talking 90s, late 90s, real early 2000s. If I'm buying that, I'm paying somebody to go all the way through it. And I mean all the way through it. And at that point, you need to really weigh it out. And does it make more sense to do that, or does it make more sense to buy a truck? Well, buy a newer truck, but even if it's a payment. You know, if you, let's say you get a payment with $1,000 a month payment, a truck with $1,000 a month payment, you know, that's like $2.25 a week, guys. You can maintain that if you're doing this right. Some of you may know, never mind, we'll save that for another video. But, you know, so doing the old equipment, it's just, it cost me, this is just from my experience, it cost me so much more than if I would have just bit the bullet and bought a newer truck. But I understand not everybody can go out and spend 20 G's on a truck. Like, I wasn't able to. My story makes it not able to. I've been battling against the wall since day one. Now one of these days I'll do a video about my story, but that's another topic. So, you know, not everybody can buy a new truck, and I understand that. So if you're going to buy an older truck, then figure out what goes wrong with that truck and put those parts in the truck. Like if you're buying a 7.3, you better have 3 or 4 cam position sensors. And this is another point of cheap over quality. So cam position sensors on the Ford 7.3s go all the time. It's a common thing with them, right? So you can buy a Motorcraft, which is like double the price of the aftermarket. But the aftermarkets, man, them things are the biggest junk. When I didn't know, when I was doing aftermarkets, man, there was times I went through 2 or 3 of them a week. A week! You know, you get a Motorcraft, they last. You know, that's just one of them things where it goes wrong all the time, and the measurements are so precise that you just need to bite the bullet and buy the right one. You know, so, you know, if you go cheap, that 15 bucks you save could have cost you hundreds, maybe even thousands if you're down long enough and can't find one local. But back to the cheap equipment. If you're gonna buy a cheap / inexpensive truck, then have that thing going through top to bottom. Some of you may know I have an owner-operator starting with me middle of next month now. You know, it was supposed to be the beginning of the month, but he, you know, he bought a 2000 or 99, somewhere around there, 7.3, and he's going through his truck, and I mean going through it. So there's stuff that he needs to do now. Like there's parts of the truck that he didn't expect to repair. Well, he's got to repair them. So instead of dealing with it later, he's just biting the bullet now before he gets rocking and rolling with it. And that's the stuff you need to do. This kid is going through this truck, going all the way through it. I mean, he's fixing stuff that when I started, I didn't even think about it. But you know why? Because he took it to a mechanic. He didn't get cheap, and he told the mechanic, go through it. This is what I'm doing, go through it. Probably cost him a couple $1,000 on top of buying the truck. You know what? It's going to be worth it for him in the long run. Just the fact of not sitting down, waiting on stuff, he's gonna definitely appreciate it. He won't regret what he's doing. I promise you that. So, you guys, when you're doing this stuff, you know, just make sure that you're doing your due diligence, your research, and you're going through it all, and you're not cheaping out. You know, because if you cheap out, brokers are going to cheap out, and you can't be mad at them. You know, it's just a thing where, and I don't know why people don't understand. I think it's because not downing anybody or disrespecting anybody getting into this business, but a lot of the guys aren't, or haven't been, not that they aren't businessmen, they haven't been businessmen before. They don't understand it all. And I don't know why, but people truly believe that this is an easy gig. You just get a truck and you run with it. God, I wish it was that easy, man. So, you know, and another way to look at this whole thing is, if you go into a restaurant, right, and you can tell right off the bat if they're cheap by looking at the drapes, by looking at the floor, by looking at the carpet, just look at how many employees around and what your employees are doing. If you see one person doing 4 or 5 jobs, it's probably a cheap company. You know, if you look down and the carpet's all old and stained, you know, or it's not cleaned up to par, or the food, you can tell it's been frozen and recooked and frozen, and it happens all the time. Unfortunately, some restaurant owners think just like some hotshot companies do. Oh, let's be cheap. Let's invest the littlest money possible, but expect the biggest return and then get upset when you don't get it. So, if you go into one of them cheap restaurants and that happens to you, I bet you don't go back. You know, if you do, you're a glutton for punishment. But I bet you don't go back. And you know why? Because it's human nature not to accept mediocre service, shoddy service. So why are you and your trucking company any different? You know, what makes you able to do that? Yeah, we're chasing the American dream here, guys. There's a lot of work that goes to it. It ain't just driving a pickup truck. You got to be able to balance money. You got to be able to think outside the box. There's a lot to it, guys. But back to the moral of this story is don't cheat yourself. Don't sell yourself out cheap. Don't get cheap with this business or you're going to pay for it in the long run. I promise you. I promise you. And I haven't steered you guys wrong yet. Not that I know of. If I have, let me know so I can fix it. But I don't think I have. But, so just remember, guys. Man, somebody must have some major electric issues. Because, I've seen probably 20 or 30 trucks headed southbound. But, guys, just remember, don't cheat. You get out what you put in. You know? If you're cheap in, cheap out. So, quality ain't cheap and cheap ain't quality, guys. Remember it. So, again, it's your boy Hotshot Dave. We're out. We're telling you, stay loaded, stay professional, and invest your money. Don't be cheap. It makes money to make money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for me. That way when I drop some knowledge, y'all know what's going on. And please, hit the like or dislike button, you know, just to, that actually gets my stuff out there and helps other guys like us that need the help and don't know where to find it. So, alright guys, it's your boy Hotshot Dave. We're out. I'll talk to you.